Little Red Riding Hood. Once upon a time, there was a kind little girl who was loved by everyone who knew her, but the person who loved her the most was her grandmother. One day, her grandmother made her a beautiful red hood to wear. The girl loved it so much and wore it all the time. From that day on, everyone called her Little Red Riding Hood. One morning, her mother said, "Little Red Riding Hood, please take this basket with cake and bottles of milk and juice to your grandmother. She is sick, and this will help her feel better. Walk carefully and stay on the path. Do not stop or wander into the forest." "I promise I will be careful," said Little Red Riding Hood. As Little Red Riding Hood walked through the woods, she met a wolf. She did not know that wolves can be dangerous, so she was not afraid. "Good morning, Little Red Riding Hood," said the wolf. "Good morning, Mr. Wolf," she replied politely. "Where are you going?" "I'm going to visit my grandmother. She is sick, so I'm bringing her cake, milk, and juice." "Where is your grandmother's house?" "She lives deeper in the forest, near 3 big oak trees." The wolf had a sneaky idea. Then he said, "Look at all the beautiful flowers around you. Why don't you pick some for your grandmother?" Little Red Riding Hood thought that was a good idea. So she stepped off the path to pick them. As she picked flowers, she walked farther and farther into the forest. Meanwhile, the wolf ran quickly to the grandmother's house. He knocked on the door. "Who is there?" called the grandmother. "It's Little Red Riding Hood," said the wolf in a soft voice. "Lift the latch and come in. I'm too weak to get out of bed." The wolf went inside and jumped on the grandmother and swallowed her whole. Then he put on her nightgown and cap, climbed into her bed, and waited. Later, Little Red Riding Hood arrived at the house. She noticed the door was open, and the house felt strange. "Good morning, Grandma," she said, walking to the bed. But the person in bed looked very strange. "Grandma, what big ears you have," said Little Red Riding Hood. "The better to hear you with," said the wolf. "Grandma, what big eyes you have. The better to see you with." "Grandma, what big hands you have. The better to hug you with." "But Grandma, what a big mouth you have. The better to eat you with," shouted the wolf. The wolf jumped out of bed and swallowed Little Red Riding Hood whole. Then he lay down and began to snore loudly. Soon, a huntsman walking through the forest heard the loud snoring. He thought something was wrong and went inside the house. When he saw the wolf sleeping in the bed, he guessed what had happened. Instead of shooting the wolf, the huntsman carefully cut open the wolf's belly with scissors. First, Little Red Riding Hood jumped out, safe but scared. Then the grandmother came out too. To make sure the wolf could never hurt anyone again, they filled his belly with heavy stones. When the wolf woke up and tried to run away, the stones were too heavy, and he fell down and died. The grandmother ate the cake and drank the milk, and soon felt better. Little Red Riding Hood learned an important lesson. She promised herself that she would always listen to her mother and never leave the path again. And from that day on, she was always careful when walking through the forest. The story of Little Red Riding Hood teaches us an important lesson. It shows that children should listen to their parents and be careful with strangers. Little Red Riding Hood talked to the wolf and did not follow her mother's advice. This caused trouble for her and her grandmother. The story reminds us that it is important to follow rules and stay safe, especially when we are outside or talking to people we do not know. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more wonderful bedtime stories and classic tales. Your support helps us bring more magical stories, gentle adventures, and meaningful lessons for children to enjoy before bedtime. Turn on notifications so you never miss a new story, and join us again for more relaxing storytime moments. Sweet dreams, and we'll see you in the next story.